All right, hello and welcome to bmzlounge.com. Today we are discussing the practice questions of communications management knowledge area. Now, we have covered all the topics of this knowledge area, and the first link in the description will take you to an entire playlist of all the topics, all the videos that we have done on communications management. Also, since you had some of your questions that we answered as part of our Lounge Fever series, second link in the description will take you to a playlist of Lounge Fever series of communications management knowledge area. That is basically videos whereby I am trying to answer the questions that you had, the doubts that you had about communications management topics. Now, third link in the description will be an entire playlist of all the practice questions that we have covered as part of all the knowledge areas of your PMP courseware. So three important links, do check them out. With that being clear, that being said, let's get started. Question number one, the project manager of a complex IT project is having a one-on-one discussion with a new engineer. The project manager explains one of the algorithms that is being developed and asks the engineer if he would be able to document the functioning of the algorithm and send that document to the stakeholders. So the engineer agrees and shares the document. However, after going over the document, the project manager realizes that the engineer didn't really understand the algorithm at all. So who is at fault for the loss of time and effort here in the entire episode? So this is one of those questions in the PMP exam where you are given a scenario and then you are asked to solve the question. So option A, functional manager. He shouldn't have assigned a new engineer on this complex project because the scenario mentions that it is a complex IT project. Option B, project manager. He should have helped create and review the document with the engineer. Option C, engineer. He should have immediately asked his doubts on the understanding of the algorithm. That is when they were having the one-on-one discussion. Or option D, project manager, because it is his responsibility that the message is clearly understood, and the project manager should also get a confirmation from the engineer. So what do you think? Let's look at option A. Functional manager, he shouldn't have assigned a new engineer on this complex project. Do you think this is the right option? Or option B, the project manager, should have helped create and review the document. So here's a question, a sub question for you. Do you think it is project manager's responsibility to create and review documents like these, documents explaining a specific functioning of the algorithm? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Option C, if we look at it, he should have immediately asked his doubts on the understanding of the algorithm. Sounds about right. When you're having a discussion with someone and you have any doubts, you should immediately speak your mind, right? Or is it option D, because it was project manager's responsibility that the message is clearly understood? Now remember, we are discussing communications management knowledge area here. In the process of communication, it is the sender's responsibility that the message that he or she is conveying is clear, concise, and is understood at the receiver's end. So this is the sender's responsibility. And that is why the right answer to this question is project manager, not because of option B, but because of option D, since project manager is the sender of information in this communication process, and it is the sender's responsibility to make sure the message is concise, clear, and can be decoded at the receiver's end to understand the entire message. Okay, question number two. You are managing an infrastructure project. You have an issue with a team member's performance. How will you communicate this issue with the team member? So you have some issue with the performance of a specific team member and you're going to communicate this issue with that team member. How are you going to do it? Formal verbal, formal written, or informal written. If you have forgotten what these are, First link in the description, the entire playlist. One of the videos in that playlist talks about all four of this. The correct answer is informal verbal because that's the best way to deal with such situation. You don't want to keep it formal for sure. Question number three, your project involves vendors. One of the vendors is requesting confidential information about your project. Confidential information about your project, without which they won't be able to make progress. The vendor would like to know who has the authority to release that confidential information. Which project document should he refer to? Which project document should the vendor refer to in this case? A. Project charter. B. The scope management plan. C. Communications management plan. Or D. Stakeholder management plan. The correct answer here is communications management plan because we are talking about conveying confidential information to a vendor, and communications management plan is the document that will have the authority, that will basically list out who has the authority to do so. Question number four, which of the following is the biggest concern of the virtual team? Now, I hope you know what a virtual team is. Virtual team is a team where the team members are not co-located. So they could be from different parts of the world. Different time zones, that is definitely a concern. Noise, cultural differences, or communications management. What do you think is the biggest concern here? All of these could be a concern, but the biggest one, the correct answer is noise. And we have already discussed noise, like I mentioned earlier. If you have forgotten what noise is, check out the playlist, the first link in the description, and you'll have your answer. Question number five, you are managing a project with 25 team members and one team lead at three different locations each. You also have three members supporting as part-time project staff. So how many communication channels are possible in your project? So I hope you remember the formula for calculating communication channels. It is n into n minus 1 divided by 2. So that's the formula that you are going to use to calculate communication channels in this question. So what is the value of n? You have 25 team members, that's for sure. Then you have one team lead at three different locations, which means you have three team leads in separate locations. And then you also have three members, but they are part-time project staff. So should they be considered in the value of n? Of course, because you need to send communications to them as well. So what's the total that you have here? 25 plus you have three team leads, that means 28, and then three team members who are part-time staff. So that means 28 plus 3, 31. And don't forget the project manager. You are managing the project, so count yourself as well. That means n is equals to 32 here. Now let's look at the options: 496, 992, 424, and 32. What you're going to basically do is 32 into 32 minus 1, which is 31, divided by 2, and the correct answer you would get after calculating this is going to be A, 496. So I hope you were able to follow and solve this question. I always say this, I've said this in our video on the calculation of communication channels itself when I talked about this formula. In that video also, I've shared that you should not forget yourself. You should always add the project manager unless it is specifically and explicitly mentioned that this project, the 25 team members, this project team that of 25 people includes the project manager. Here it doesn't say so, so you should add yourself, and then the correct value of n is going to be 32. All right then, so that's all that we had in this video. I hope you got value out of it. Smash that like button. It helps us stay motivated and create more free content. Third link in the description if you're looking for more practice questions of other knowledge areas as well. As always, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to stay notified. And don't forget to check out the website pmclounge.com, your number one free PMP resource. Thank you.